thank you for joining me today. Unfortunately, it is with great sorrow that our nation is mourning the death of our monarch, Queen Elizabeth II, and I really just felt like it would be not right to not acknowledge this time and to really try and say something about the situation. I think, given the fact that I am a dual citizen of England and the USA, I was born and raised here, but my family are from America. I think I have a reasonable perspective of what Queen Elizabeth and the royal family mean to a lot of people, and I just felt like, even though this is a time of mourning, I felt that it would be respectful to say something nice about the Queen and to help you to feel as relaxed as possible while still dealing with your grief. I know the Queen has meant different things to different people. There are some who love her and love her family and love the monarchy and the royals in general, and there are others who feel very strongly that we shouldn't even have a monarchy, and I would dare say that some feel that the Queen and the royals represent something that is not necessarily good for us. And I think in a lot of situations, especially people from my culture, they can think that way often, but the reason I wanted to say something about the Queen is because I really respected her, and I really respected what she did for this country. And although I've never looked at the royals as being better than anyone or being above anyone in terms of the fact that they're still human beings, I know that with great power comes great responsibility. To whom much is given, much is required. And considering the fact that all of our monarchs before her typically tended to do as they felt, do as they saw fit, and didn't try to help the people in the same way, I think I felt grateful. I think I felt very, very grateful that I was alive at a time where our monarch really cared about the people, where she tried her best to do what was right. So, tonight I felt that it would be good if we could do something a little bit different and have a cup of tea in her memory. And while I'm having this cup of tea, I felt that it would be good to read off some things that I researched about the Queen. We did learn a lot of these things in school, but I think as time goes on, you kind of feel like, how does the Queen and her family benefit us, and what have they done for us? And I just felt like it would be good to refresh our memories. I think that the Queen, when I think about her and I think about being in London, having tea, is one of the things that A lot of people wish they could have done with the Queen, have tea with her. It's a very English tradition. So let's get started. I'm just going to read to you some things, and hopefully you'll find it somewhat relaxing. So, Queen Elizabeth II was born on the 21st of April 1926. As World War II had started in 1939, she was anxious to do something for her country. She wanted to enroll in the armed forces, but as the next monarch, she was not allowed to be put into mortal danger because she was in a time where World War II was happening, and it's understandable that her family wouldn't have wanted to jeopardize her life. What she did do, however, was join the Women's Auxiliary Territory Service, where she trained for 6 weeks as an auto mechanic, a position that was not without risk, as at least 335 people who joined the ATS passed away during the war. And I think from an early age we can see that even though Queen Elizabeth was born into a lot of wealth and a lot of privilege, she still tried to serve, and that's something that I'm extremely grateful for. By the time Elizabeth took the throne in 1952, the British Empire was already in rapid decline. At the height of the British Empire, Britain controlled 57 colonies, which equaled a quarter of the landmass across the world. And honestly, I think this is why certain cultures feel that the royal family probably shouldn't still be here, because we know that the British Empire did have a lot of bad things going on in it, from slavery to just, taking over other people's lands. But I'm a big believer in people not being punished for the mistakes of their family, as long as they're going to try and do something to change it and change those mistakes. When Elizabeth was crowned, the Commonwealth only had 8 member states. Today there are 56, which means the empire has transformed into a voluntary association of sovereign nations. For those who don't know what the Commonwealth is, in a nutshell, it's an association of 56 countries who all share common goals of prosperity, democracy and peace. And the Commonwealth is home to 2.5 billion people, and they have all greatly benefited. And I believe this was the Queen's way of trying to right some of the wrongs that the British Empire had committed before her time, and trying to treat all people as equal. And given the wealth and the power and the authority that she had, she really didn't have to do all of the travelling that she did, and supporting and helping other countries that she did. We know, in fact, if you look at King Henry VIII and go back even further, that many of our English monarchs just reigned in terror and they really did not do anything for anyone other than themselves. So I think it's a good thing that she tried. The Commonwealth amplifies the voice of African nations, providing it with an additional means of lobbying major donors and diplomatic players like the UK, India, and Canada. It also provides a potential framework for resolving disputes between African members. In the words of former Ugandan Foreign Minister Martin Alcala, when he spoke to the Institute of the Commonwealth Studies, Commonwealth Oral History Project in 2015, he said this: "The beauty of the Commonwealth is that its member states feel that they can approach each other when serious tensions arise between them." You know, I think as well this is why I wanted to bring this up, because although the British Empire have definitely done things that are reprehensible, I think that the work that the Queen has done has definitely tried to heal that. And of course she hasn't just helped the African people, but she's helped hundreds of countries, and she's really gone out of her way to try and share the wealth in a lot of situations, but we'll get to that. In the 1960s and 70s, it played a leading role, as in the Commonwealth, played a leading role in condemning racial discrimination, most notably with its landmark Singapore Declaration of Commonwealth Principles in 1971. In the 1980s and 90s, it campaigned for debt relief for some of the world's poorest nations. The organization consists of a variety of networks developed over decades. These include a range of organizations such as the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association and the Association of Commonwealth Universities. Our Queen was the head of these things. She didn't have to do what she did, but she decided not to be selfish. And I think that's a legacy that she's left behind, and definitely is something that we will always remember. She had a calm and steady reign. As I said before, there were many kings and queens on the throne that did not do this, and so the fact that she reigned in such a calm way was beautiful. Her willingness to embrace change has meant a great deal of wealth for our country, as her understanding and acceptance of technology meant that she was the first monarchy to break down the secrecy between the royal family and commoners. So before Queen Elizabeth started doing things on television, television did exist, but there was no monarchy before her who felt that it was important for the people to be able to see what was happening in the royal family and what the royal family was like. It was all very secretive, and Queen Elizabeth really felt that the royal family needed to be held accountable, but also that the fourth wall could be broken, if you want to say that the people in the community, the commoners, could see what was happening and relate to the royal family much more. And that in turn has built a much better relationship between the commoners and the royal people. And it's also brought us millions of pounds worth of tourism, which has been very, very good for our country. Although the Queen does not introduce or vote on legislation, she had to approve all new laws, and her influence is undeniable. She was the first British monarch to address Congress in 1991, since America gained its independence from the British Empire. She strengthened the relationship between the two nations and helped to keep the peace, which is amazing. The Queen has been known for being one of the biggest supporters of charity work in the world. She supports around 600 charities, should I say she supported. She supported around 600 charities in Britain, and the royal family as a whole supports over 3,000 charities worldwide. You know, you could look at this and say, well, of course she does. She has all the money in the world. But once again, I think it takes a lot to be able to really put yourself aside and decide that you're going to help others when you don't have to. And I'm truly grateful for that. She has used her authority to specifically target the poor and has raised over 1.4 billion for charity over the years. With her 70 years of being on the throne, she was the longest serving English monarch in English history. She has stabilized our country and looked out for its benefits instead of just our own. And I think that's something to be extremely grateful for. Well, this was her official title. Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, and of her other realms and territories, Queen, Head of the Commonwealth, Defender of the Faith. At this time, I would like to offer condolences to the royal family, and I would ask that we could all keep them in our prayers, as this would be a very difficult time indeed. And I would pray that our new king, King Charles, would be able to reign as strongly as his mother did. And I hope that as time goes on, we can recognize that Queen Elizabeth was far more than just a monarch. She was far more than just a mother and a wife. She was an example, and she was an inspiration. And considering the examples that we've seen of other royals in the past, I would say that she tried her best to keep her vow and stay godly as much as possible. And yeah, she really did try and defend the faith and keep England in a good place. And I would say that I'm extremely grateful for that. I know this has been different today, but I felt that it was appropriate. Even though this is a sad time, I think that it's always good to celebrate the life of people who have done great things. And I pray that our country is steered in the right direction from here on out, as she will definitely be missed. I will see you all tomorrow.